What's going on, guys? Today I'm ranking every single DCEU movie. Before we get into the ranking, I will be issuing some ground rules. I will be ranking movies like Blue Beetle and the Suicide Squad. They are both part of the DCEU and the DCU. I won't be ranking the new Superman movie because that is only DCU and not DCEU. Also, I won't be ranking Justice League as I don't really think it's canon, and there's also a way better Justice League movie in the Snyder Cut. Okay, that's sorted. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the video. In last place, we have a Black Adam with a score of 4 out of 10. This movie is just so unnecessary. The Rock said the hierarchy of the power is gonna change.
Because the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.
It just didn't though, because his movie absolutely sucked. The villain was so unforgettable. Spock, he was an awful villain. They ruined Dr. Fate by killing him off so quickly. And The Rock was his regular self. Why does Black Adam have an American accent? It's so dumb. The script was so bad, and the kid was so annoying. The only thing I liked about this movie is the action scenes, the way they showed Black Adam's powers and his speed. That was good. But the rest of the movie was completely awful. In 14th, we have Wonder Woman 1984 with a score of 4.2 out of 10. This movie's plot was probably one of the worst in the DCEU. The powers of Maxwell Lord made no sense. Also, how did everybody announce their wish? That is the dumbest thing ever.
We have missiles disappearing, sir. Yes, sir, and they are vanishing from our screen.
The ceasefire between the Soviet Union and the United States has averted a global crisis.
I announce my wish. And that's it.
The script was weak and the acting was terrible, as always with Gal Gadot. The only thing I kinda liked was Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord. Yes, his powers didn't make any sense, but still, it was acted superbly. In 13th, I have Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice with a score of 4.5 out of 10. The pacing is all over the place in this movie, and scenes feel sketched together. Like they did for Man of Steel and Superman, they made Batman in this movie murderous and completely brutal. And let's not forget the fact that he used guns. Batman fucking hates guns, and they made him use guns. Makes no sense. Also, Batman's motivation was so weak. You know it's so weak because the only reason he stopped is because they have the same mother's names. Batman wasn't even the worst part of this movie. It was Lex Luthor, the main villain. Lex Luthor was portrayed as a literal baby. Lex Luthor is meant to be smart, conniving, and he was portrayed as a little toddler when he didn't get his way. Bro didn't even have a motivation to do what he did. Superman, in Man of Steel, was obviously dark and brutal, but there's still some good scenes, like the warehouse scene. Apart from when Batman used the gun in that fight, the warehouse scene was pretty good. And also the final fight with Doomsday was really good, when Wonder Woman teamed up with Batman and Superman to defeat Doomsday. That was good. All in all, a below average comic book movie. In 12th, we have Suicide Squad with a score of 5 out of 10. This movie is so disappointing. The trailer was phenomenal, one of the best comic book trailers I've ever watched in my life, but the movie was awful compared to the trailer. Jared Leto as the Joker was so incredibly bad. He wasn't fleshed out as a character, his lines were terrible, and his line delivery was even worse.
What do we have here? By erasing my mind. Are you sweet talking me? He's so intense.
You have a weak villain in Enchantress and a messy plot, and most characters weren't even fleshed out. But I do like some of the characters, like Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, and Will Smith's Deadshot actually stole the show for me. I actually really liked him as Deadshot. Captain Boomerang was kind of funny, and some of the scenes like the Deadshot shooting the target scenes was actually phenomenal. But again, the plot was messy, the villain was weak, and the Joker was fucking disgusting. In 11th place, I have Birds of Prey with a score of 5.3 out of 10. This movie is probably the most forgettable movie in the DCEU. You have a messy plot and a messy script, and supporting characters that I couldn't care less for. Huntress is boring, Black Canary, even though I like her in the comics, is boring in this movie. Cassandra Cain, I love her in the comics. Yes, she's a kid, but she was just annoying. But I do like the main villain, Black Mask. Ewan McGregor actually did a great performance portraying Black Mask. And obviously, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is near perfection. But again, I didn't really care for the movie. It was generic, forgettable, and slightly boring. In 10th place, I have Shazam! Fury of the Gods with a score of 5.5 out of 10. This is a messy movie. The villains are pretty forgettable and boring. The plot is a complete mess. The only thing good about this movie is the family dynamic. I really love the Shazam family together. Also, like the first movie, there's one major criticism I have. Shazam and Billy Batson feel like two different characters. Shazam is goofy and funny. Billy Batson is always dark and gloomy. Just a really generic and boring movie. In 9th, we have The Flash with a score of 6 out of 10. This movie's a bit above average. Like, I love seeing Michael Keaton as Batman again. I love the Flash fight scenes and how they showcased his powers. But there are problems with this movie. The CGI was woeful, one of the worst I've seen in the DCEU. The plot was muddled and a complete mess. It was just kind of disappointing in the end. Nothing really happened apart from obviously George Clooney being the main Batman and Barry Allen's dad getting out of prison. But the rest of the movie was kind of pointless. Fun at times, but pointless. In 8th, we have Aquaman Lost Kingdom with a score of 6.2 out of 10. This movie is very generic. The villain Black Manta is generic. The plot is overstuffed and the storytelling is very weak. But I did love the duo of Ocean Master and Aquaman. They were really funny and kind of carried the movie. Orm's character development throughout both of the movies is actually really good and probably one of the best characters in the DCEU. But again, this movie sums up the DCEU perfectly. Generic and mid. In 7th place, I have Blue Beetle with a score of 6.5 out of 10. This movie isn't bad by any means, but it isn't top tier. I thought the casting for the character Blue Beetle was perfect. The acting was perfect. He was portrayed perfectly. I loved Blue Beetle in this movie. And I loved the family dynamic. I thought when the father died, that was the saddest scene in all of DCEU. But apart from the family dynamics and the character of Blue Beetle, the villain was lackluster and forgettable. And the rest of the movie was just generic and mid. But I would like to see more Blue Beetle in the DCU, and hopefully they make a slightly better movie. In 6th place, I have Wonder Woman with a score of 6.8 out of 10. This movie isn't bad by any means. I thought the villain was really good, and the twist at the end who the real villain was actually good. I love Steve's and Diana's relationship. Yes, Gal Gadot is a terrible actress.
And enough champagne to fill the Nile.
But she was alright in this movie. But this movie isn't perfect by any means. The pacing was off, and in some cases you just felt bored. The plot was very simple and just generic. A hero gets her powers, fights a villain and saves the world. That's literally just the plot of like every single generic superhero movie. But the action scenes were good. They weren't groundbreaking, but they were good. All in all, just a slightly above average superhero movie. Cracking into our top 5, we have Aquaman with a score of 6.9 out of 10. This is as generic as Wonder Woman, maybe even more generic. The villain literally has the same powers as the protagonist. But I do love Orm, Ocean Master, as the villain. He's probably one of the best villains in the DCEU. Yes, the main plot was very simplistic and sometimes boring. The side plot with Black Manta was actually really good, and I do like Black Manta as a character. Yes, in the second movie he's a bit more boring, but in this movie I found his motivation like deserved. You know, Aquaman didn't save his dad. But the main plot was again generic and boring, and the hero beats a villain who has the same powers as them. In fourth place I have Man of Steel with a score of 7 out of 10. You either love this movie or you hate this movie, and I kinda like it. Yes, Superman could have saved his dad from the tornado, and the lesson was stupid by Superman's dad. And also Superman was dark and murderous and ore-farmed when people were in danger and just let them die. And Zack Snyder just doesn't know anything about the character of Superman. This is a bad Superman movie, but a good movie if you get what I'm saying. They literally have the best villain in the DCEU in Zod. And the action scenes, while catastrophic for the people, were actually really fun to watch. Did this movie butcher Superman? Yes. But Zack Snyder knows how to make a good action movie, and it was a good action movie, but a bad Superman movie. In third place I have Shazam with a score of 7.1 out of 10. This movie is a definition of funny and having a good time. I thought Zachary Levi as Shazam was hilarious, and I really liked the family dynamic in this movie. There are a few critiques I have though. First off, the villain was okay, but a bit boring. Same basic powers as Shazam. And Shazam and Billy Batson, even though they're meant to be the same character, act completely different. Billy Batson, when he's a kid, acts sad, dreary, and depressed. Shazam acts happy, funny, and like a toddler sometimes. All in all, it's an above average comic book movie with some fun scenes and good action. In second place I have the Snyder Cut with a score of 7.2 out of 10. Yes, this movie is 4 hours long, but man, this movie is 10 times better than Justice League. If I ranked Justice League, this would be at the bottom of the list. That's how bad Justice League was. The story was more fleshed out and you cared about every single character individually. It had great action scenes. Yes, Steppenwolf was a big disappointment, but every time you saw Darkseid on the screen, like I had little chills. That's how much aura Darkseid had. It can be boring at times, seeing how it's 4 hours long, and that's probably the main drawback to this movie, being it's so long and sometimes very boring. But still, definitely an above average comic book movie, and you should all see it at least once. And the best DCEU movie is The Suicide Squad with a score of 8 out of 10. Another James Gunn masterpiece. It's better than the first Suicide Squad by tenfold. The characters are better, the action is better, it is way funnier and seems way more like a comic book movie, and thank God the Joker is not in this movie. I do have one complaint, the plot is messy and sometimes it gets very confusing. And the main villain in Starro isn't the greatest villain. You kind of feel sad for Starro in the end. All in all, definitely the best DCEU movie by quite a margin. Even though that's not very hard because most of them are mid. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you like and subscribe and follow my TikTok, which will be down in the description. If you want to see more movies like these, click the link below which I ranked all the Marvel movies. Also, comment down below what your favorite DCEU movie is.